But be careful about those kinds of things. Be careful about those kinds of things, and particularly be careful about identifying who the right person is for you to talk to. And as I say, if it's unclear from the website or you're unsure about that, the answer is only a short phone call away. In terms of more pragmatic things that are part of the proposal, a description of the overall length of the manuscript, its requirements in terms of any kind of illustrative matter, whether that be photographs, maps, tables, graphics that you would like to include and that are necessary to the book. And we usually, and always send a current version of your CV, because this is usually always on the list of these things, and we want to know, if we don't already, who you are and where you're coming from and the type of work that you do and how this project fits into that picture. Another important sort of practical consideration like that is an indication of what stage the manuscript is at. So when you expect to be able to submit. And in terms of projects that are derived from dissertation research, a significant part of that proposal, some presses may ask you for copies of external readers' reports or written assessments that may have come from your dissertation committee. But a really important part of that initial, and this will come from that initial description of the aim and content of the work and its intended audiences, is something where you indicate the types of revisions that you see as necessary and that either you have already started or completed, or things that you are currently working on, and the dissertation is X number of months away because these are the types of revisions that you're making. And if you submit something that doesn't have that, you'll notice that often the first reaction of university press editors is often very generic, and it's to point you to a number of very useful guides that are already published that are about this process and about the kind of heuristic rethinking of the dissertation as no longer dissertation but as book. And there are a number of useful prompts in that will help you do that. So those are things that you should be looking at prior to completing your proposal, even if the nature of those revisions is something that will be discussed on an ongoing basis with an editor. And so I'm just going to end by saying there are a couple of other things to keep in mind. One is that if you have submitted this proposal to other presses simultaneously, note that in the covering letter. It's not uncommon, and it's not necessary. I mean, we may have different, I don't know, what do you think? I don't think it's necessarily a problem that happens, as long as it's evident and signaled that.
I must say, I've always advised people on your behalf not to do that, but maybe I'm coming from, I mean, when I was here.
If you decide to, I think, it's reasonable to expect relatively timely feedback on a proposal. So that may not be the right thing to do, particularly if you're in a relatively early stage and the completion of the manuscript is still several months away. If for whatever reason you do decide to do that, the really important thing is to signal that right away so that that's clear to people. And I would say that the proper outcome of the proposal in terms of this, in terms of its placement with a particular press, is an indication of interest on the part of an editor at a press and your granting of right of first refusal of the manuscript, because the felicitous outcome of the proposal process is you're submitting the manuscript and the press engaging in as timely a way as possible to have the book peer reviewed, and it's very, very important at that stage that that manuscript be only with the one press, so it cannot be being peer reviewed by several presses at once, and the mechanism by which you're asked to commit to that is by granting a press right of first refusal.